got something to say. Just as soon as I find a way, boys, I've got something to say.
Hey, what's going on? This is LJR. Where's Luke at?
I'm right here.
Alright, I don't know, are there any, like, things that I have to say? Like,
I don't think so. We're not a big time studio.
there's no legal obligations at all that need to be followed. So, I think we're...
So let's just get.
Yeah, I think we're good covered. Let me second. Let's tweet this out on the Twitter at Free Speech
I'd like to
or
give a
Bust.
shout out to my buddy Caleb. Even though I'm gonna love to talk shit to you, say how I'm gonna rip the hair off your skull if you say one more Ben Weevil thing. I still love you as a brother. Just wanted to let you know that.
Okay. All right. So what are the different things that we had planned to talk about? Because I
The
forget.
Trump thing.
I'm a more. Oh yeah. All right. So
3,000 penises.
yeah. So we can get into the penises later, but
Well, yes, I don't want to talk about them right out the bat. That's kind of
No.
a weird thing to go right.
yeah, that's just a little too extreme. But the thing
That's
is
what we use the light halfway.
people all the
Or
time.
make it-
They'll. This is definitely like during the campaign, and I would always get asked this question, like, what is something that if Trump did, like, you would drop your support? One of the things I would always say, the biggest one probably, is the Second Amendment. If he ever went after it, proposed any sort of legislation that infringed on our God-given natural human rights, yeah, that's when I would withdraw my support. So, the problem in saying that is that, by the way, when I say that the problem in saying that, that's not a problem with me, that's a problem with Trump, is because, so, this was, I believe this was this week, but he held
It was.
he held a bipartisan, conference on action for guns, where he talked about one of his things.
That he would take
Wait,
away the guns from-
wait. You have to no. You have to actually. So you can't just take that quote out of context. You have to. What was the proposal? And that was basically, if. So let's say there's someone who's a law-abiding citizen, owns guns. If people around him, like his family, contact the authorities saying that he's mentally unstable and that he should take his guns away, what Trump's saying is you should take the guns first, due process later, because his justification for this is that going through court and stuff takes such a long time that it'd be more secure to just take him first. Here's the problem with that. If anyone can just contact the police and say, this person's crazy, take his guns, anyone who doesn't like you is going to take advantage of that and restrict you of your rights. Okay? And also Trump, he said he wants to move the legal purchase age to 21 years old, and he wants to ban bump stocks. No. No. If you want to move the legal age to 21, then you can't vote till you're 21. You don't have to pay taxes till you're 21. All right. This is something that is not very popular to talk about.
You can't own property till you're 21. You can't move out till-
One of the things
adult.
that's not very popular to talk about is within the idea of dedicating an age to be the age of maturity, like the age of adulthood. And forever it's been 18. I think it should be 18. You used to be able to buy liquor when you were 18 years old. It wasn't until like the 80s, and it was the justification for moving the legal age of purchasing alcohol to 21 was that it would reduce drunk driving.
It didn't.
I don't have any statistics to say whether it did or it didn't, but the thing is, I think we just need a defined age for all this stuff. And so if you want to move the age of adulthood to 21, okay,
I don't
I
think
can see it. I disagree with it, but I can see it. But just t- you shouldn't be able to pick and choose in the Bill of Rights what to get rid of and what to keep. All right, I believe what Thomas Jefferson had. What Thomas Jefferson said was he had a strict interpretation of the Constitution. George Washington said that the Constitution is the guide that which he will always follow. Obviously, these aren't exact quotes. I think the George Washington one's pretty accurate, but I don't know. The wording might not be accurate. Whatever. The point is, this is what our founding fathers believed: is that the Constitution is the law. The law
it's
of the
made
land.
for the time. It's made to stand the test of time, and not. It wasn't made for the time.
The Constitution of the United States is the longest standing constitution in world history.
In the world.
In world history. You know, that's me and Luke earlier we were talking about like Luke's like if we were libertarian or conservative. I'm basically a constitutionalist. All right. In the book which Luke let me borrow, The Politically Incorrect Guide to American History, it talks about how the Constitution isn't even being followed anymore in some aspects, particularly war making, where it used so it used to be that
the Congress had to declare war, formally declare war.
Yeah, the president had to ask Congress for declaration of war, and you know there's a part in the part in the Constitution that says the president's the commander in chief. It says that during wartime he can move troops around as he pleases. So let's say he's in a war with Russia and he wants to move troops from Moscow to I don't know any because I know like Leningrad and Stalingrad, but that's not what they're called anymore. So anyway, the president's allowed to do that. What the president's not allowed to do is just go invade a country, all right? And you know, because if the president wants to declare war, he has to get a formal declaration from Congress. That has not happened since World War II. All right, you remember anyone who has learned about like Pearl Harbor knows that Roosevelt, the worst president in American history, had to wait had to wait 2 days to get his declaration of war from Congress before he could go and attack the Germans.
You mean Japanese for, you know?
No. When World War II started, like when the United States joined it, they were most concerned about the Germans. They didn't, even though the Japanese attacked them at Pearl Harbor, the war in the Pacific didn't really kick up till the later years of the war. Anyways, yeah, anyways, that has not happened since then. What wars have we there's been the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the war in Iraq, Desert Storm. The point is that the checks
the Constitution's not being followed
the checks and balances that were put in place by our founding fathers are not being followed, and this is also in some other areas too. I forget one of them. There's one, the most prominent one definitely is the war making one though.
Well, back to earlier about how you remember how about the liquor age. I know this is off topic, but I'm fact checking.
It's on topic.
I was wrong. Since 1982, drunk driving accidents have been cut in half. But the liquor price, or the age where you could buy liquor, was raised in 1986. So, like, the trend was going down. So the trend was set before the laws were passed or changed, if you want to say that.
You know, it's sort of hard to do like what I really want to do in talking about this. It's what we did when we had like all the retards on. It was numbered 19 when we had like Robbie and Josh and Mason, all of them. We had like a solid half hour about the Second Amendment, and basically that comes down to people do not have a understanding of where our rights come from and what they mean. And a quote from Ronald Reagan. It's a pretty fascinating quote, so I'm gonna see if I can pull up the exact quotation. Excuse my loud typing. All right, here's Ronald Reagan. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States where men were free. So this is one of the reasons that I can't stand it when people say, "No, I don't talk about issues like this. I don't talk about current events. I don't talk about politics." Well, if you're not talking about it, then you're not concerned, all right? Then you're not engaged, which is perfectly fine. You don't have to be. But then please do not vote. If you're not actively engaged in dialogue or research,
then don't vote.
Stay home. Stay home.
It's like, it's similar to what I say, if you don't vote, you don't get to complain. If you don't have your facts straight or engaged in the research on current events, you probably should not want to vote, as you could screw some stuff up.
Yeah.
Take that experiment they did. Like, some people went outside of Walmart and hung signs up saying, "End the women's suffrage." They just saw the word suffrage, and so they imagined that it was women suffering.
Yeah, I think it was really fun.
rights.
I think David Menzoid from the Rebel Media. Let me make sure it's actually him. David Menzoid, women's suffrage.
Movement in Canada.
Oh my God! It's okay. His name is David Menzies, but I guess his subtitle or nickname is the Menzoid. I always thought his name, because I remember. He says like David the Menzoid Menzies. Anyways, so David Menzies, he did this video, which I'll pull up here and I'll play.
And we thought we'd drop by here on the campus of Ryerson University to see how the
Luke, you can't hear it, but people listening can.
Suffrage.
We're starting a petition demanding authorities stamp out women's suffrage. Would you like to sign that, please?
Could you turn subtitles on?
Just put your name and...
No, the audio's playing. People listening to this here. Anyways, I won't have to narrate this for Luke because he didn't hear. What he asked this girl is, he said, he asked if she would sign a petition to stamp out women's suffrage, and she just goes, "Sure."
We've started a petition to demand authorities stamp out women's suffrage. Would you like to sign that?
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah.
There's nothing more. You have to admit, there's nothing more funnier than that. Like, people just going away. "Oh yeah, sure, I'll sign away my rights."
Here, I'll send this video to you so you can watch it at some point. I'm not gonna keep playing it. I just played like 38 seconds of it, but he asked.
Shit.
Yeah, but it's just funny because these people are just you could tell these are like the most like feminist people ever. So you think that they would be the most educated on women's suffrage, but
Nope.
they just willingly yeah let's get rid of it. I think that's really funny. Let me look at our time real quick. 15 minutes.
15
All right.
minutes or 14.
That was good. And I think I should, before we continue, I want to get back to the rights thing because I don't think I've made that very clear. Our rights, I think Luke's heard me go on this rant a million times, so I'm just going to try to do it really fast. Okay, our rights do not come from government. They come from God. You don't have to believe in God to believe in this concept. Basically, the premise of the concept is that our rights do not come from government. Before the government gave us our rights, the government had to have the ability to take them away just as easy. The Second Amendment is to protect us from threats foreign, domestic,
Yeah, to protect
and
the other
most importantly from the threat of a tyrannical government. So yes, to protect our other amendments, education for liberals, who we've had on the podcast, he
agrees
he
with
tweeted
us full-heartedly on this subject.
yeah, but he tweeted something that I thought was pretty good. He said that he'd be willing to get rid of the First Amendment, but not the Second Amendment, because he said he would just continue to say whatever the hell he wanted because he had a gun. which
is the truth.
Yeah,
it's the honest truth.
That's what I like, when people find like funny ways to say things that are like totally true. That's just a really nice tweet. Is there anything that you need to elaborate to that before you talk about your penises?
No, I was going to actually save the penises for my second topic. But no, I have nothing to add. What you said, bring up about Dylan going on the little rant about how the Second Amendment protects all the other amendments, was very well put.
Thank you.
Okay, so the second topic...
As you can see, we're able to be a lot more intelligent and stuff when our retarded friends aren't here.
But when the retards are here, that's when it's fun, though.
Yeah.
Like, you're guaranteed for a good time. Anyways, the second topic for tonight is the man suspected of killing his parents at Central Michigan University has now been arrested. Yesterday, or was it yesterday? Yes. Police have arrested James Eric Davis Jr., who allegedly shot and killed his parents on Central Michigan University's campus on Friday. David Jr. was captured late Friday after a lengthy manhunt that lasted nearly an entire day. More than 100 officers from multiple agencies were involved in the manhunt, as he was considered to be potentially armed and dangerous, according to the Chicago Tribune, however you say that word. People who are familiar with his family have been shocked, as how every news outlet says that everybody is shocked. Such a good kid. You have never expect something like this to come from James. And Davis Jr.'s father, James Eric Davis Sr., was a police officer and a veteran who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom as part of the Illinois National Guard. According to a Facebook page, his mother, Diva Davis, was a real estate broker who was a survivor of breast cancer and a former flight attendant. The shooting occurred as Davis Jr.'s parents were picking up for spring break. Shots were fired at around 8:30 a.m. Friday inside a building on campus. Jr. was a very respectful man, apparently not so since he shot and killed his parents.
Yeah, that sort of takes you down a few notches, don't it?
Just a few. So yeah, even though it is not mentioned in this article and I can't confirm it as of now, I've seen sources claim that the gun he used to kill his parents was his father's service weapon. So a police gun, in other words. Which brings you back to the other thing. If cops can't even keep their weapons safe, and they're the only ones who should have guns, kind of dispels the myth that cops or government officers should be the only ones carrying firearms and are allowed to be armed.
Oh yeah, definitely. The best example of that statement is what just happened in Parkland. The authorities... Not only the coward that didn't go in and stop the shooter.
There were four cowards, actually.
Well, even more so.
The government failed at federal, state, and local levels.
Yes. There were red flags galore, and yet they did nothing. No. There's two ways you can take that. You can take that as... our government's a crock of shit, or you can go all conspiracy theory and say that this was a false, not necessarily false flag, but it was meditated, it was orchestrated, I guess is the best word to use, in order to push further gun legislation. I don't know if that's the case.
Orchestrated by the government. I would say it was allowed by the government.
Ooh, yeah, that's interesting.
But there's really no difference. Whether you want to say it or not, I'm not gonna go as far ahead as to publicly say that the government allowed the shooting to happen. All I'm gonna say I
is that
would.
it's definitely something to consider to look at. Another thing that I don't know how well you touch on this is the fact that this is now being statistically recognized as as a school shooting. Which, if you remember Robbie when he was on the other night, he this is now being recognized as a school shooting. And as Robbie brought up the other night when he was on, they're using these statistics about all the supposed school shootings that happened this year, but the things that they're actually counting towards the statistics are just total bullshit. And so now this is going to be that whenever people bring up a statistic about all the school shootings that happened this year, this story is going to be in there.
Just jokes. Don't tear me a new one.
I'm not gonna. I obviously knew you were joking. I mean, I knew you weren't being serious, Luke. I'm not gonna tear you a new one.
Just for Robbie, in case he watches this.
Oh yeah. Ugh. Yeah, because Robbie's. I think Robbie did a sort of like a mini rant on that statistic, which that was awesome. I love that.
He did. He ranted for a good.
I mean, that was like a 30-minute discussion. It was a beautiful discussion. I'm so happy it happened. Wow. And okay, there was some other shit I want to talk. Oh yeah, the guy. Wait. Let me pull up some actual good information on this. I don't know how that song goes. That's a Jeopardy song, I think I was trying to sing.
Yes, that's what the message I got from that was.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh my god, this article from New York Post does not have the information I want. Let's go to New York Daily News. Boom, 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 boom. Oh my! I hate the fact that newspaper websites are riddled with fucking ads.
What do you expect?
It's super annoying. Maybe the CBS News will have the information I want.
Hopefully.
What the hell? Oh, now 8 ads are playing. Oh, now I accidentally clicked on it and now it just went full screen. Alright.
Free advertisement.
Alright, fine, whatever. This is I guess enough. So, man dead after shooting himself near White House. The man shot himself outside the north fence line of the White House. And I think this was today. Yeah, this was today. Law enforcement officials have identified him, but are not releasing his name at this time as they look for the next of kin, which is his family. Let's just read this. This isn't a lengthy article. The incident occurred shortly before noon, intensifying White House security. A law enforcement official told CBS News, who gives a shit, the man apparently shot himself, and the U.S. Secret Service treated the matter as a suicide attempt. Secret Service said there were no other injuries aside from the male victim, who allegedly suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The FBI and D.C. police also responded to the incident. D.C. police sent their natural death unit to the scene. President Trump is currently in West Palm Beach with First Lady Melania Trump, but has been briefed on the incident, according to White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. He is expected to return to Washington Saturday night, which is tonight, unless they're talking about next Saturday. And so the Secret Service said that there are no other reported injuries, and the guy's dead. So when me and Luke were talking about this earlier, I think he brought up something pretty interesting. He was like, he asked me if I thought this was like a political statement that he shot himself. Like, Luke, would you like to elaborate further on that?
I said that because, like, who shoots themselves outside of the White House? Like if it's a garden that near the White House, and they're just saying, "Man shot himself outside of the White House," because that's true and it's in close proximity. But the way how the headlines have usually been ran would lead you to believe that he's trying to make some sort of political statement.
I don't think so, because the problem is that his identity is not being released, so there's no way for anyone to go back and look at his fucking Facebook or his Instagram or his Twitter or anything. So we really have. I don't even think it tells us what weapon he used. Obviously, it was a gun because he shot himself, but yeah, they're not telling us what kind of weapon he used. There's not a whole lot of information they're even giving us on this. And
when did it happen? Like, when did it?
I believe this. I'm believe it was today, because
and that's probably why
the U.S. Secret Service released the breaking news, March 3rd, 2018, which is today's date. But
yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, the thing is, what I think the reason we're not getting a lot of information on this story is because the only reason it's even a story is because it was near the White House. Like, if it was just some guy at home shot himself, it wouldn't be national. It wouldn't be national news.
We wouldn't be talking about it.
No, but I guess the only reason it's really relevant is because Luke did bring up a good point about whether or not it was political. There's no way to tell, I don't think, but I believe where he shot himself was a gun-free zone, if I'm not mistaken.
Where have I heard that before? That gun-free zones do not work.
Let me go back on edgier memes for edgier teens. We put up I posted a pretty good meme about this. I stole the meme, but you know. When I look it up, all I see Ted Miller. Wait. Whatever, I'm just gonna scroll down through his Instagram. Or his followers.
Well, while you were trying to find the Instagram, would you like me to bring up the article about how the FBI seized over 30,000 penises?
Not just now, because it shouldn't take me too much longer to find
You're in
this.
the middle of something important.
Yeah, and because
actually important.
I want to keep it sort of relevant. All right. Here we go.
Heroes.
All right. Whatever. So this meme, I'm gonna have to like sort of narrate it, but it says Spider-Man and someone's pointing a gun at him, and he's also yellow for some reason. He says, "The joke's on you, pal, because this is a gun-free zone." Basically, the idea is that gun-free zones don't work.
Listen to this. This is huge. School killer Nicholas Cruz aired at $800,000 or just a used Kia.
I read that headline, but I wasn't too sure what that meant. Did you read anything about it?
Yes. The probate case involving the Parkland school shooter's dead mother took a strange turn Thursday when a hearing in the matter was abruptly canceled and documents in the court file showed the only asset that Cruz can own is a 2010 Kia. His mother, Linda, died of pneumonia on November 1st. Deschamps, the former neighbor, had told the court she is caring for Nicholas's younger brother, Zach. Oh, shit. Dude. Nicholas, that... I'm not going to say his name anymore, but his...
You already did.
He has a younger brother. I said anymore. He said he has a younger brother.
Oh shit. Wow. Okay,
I cannot.
now I understand. Okay, now yeah, don't want to use these people's names anymore. I mean, I got the point about you don't want to sort of glorify these people, make them look like celebrities, but I had never thought about that. Their families. What? Yeah, that guy's a little brother. Shit, dude.
Earlier
I
this
feel so bad for that kid, man. I
Before
really
the
really do.
shooting, you know who told the parents of a schoolmate who took him in after his mother's death that he stood to inherit $800,000 when he turns true. Where the money is, or if it exists at all, is currently unknown, said Gordon Weeks, chief assistant public defender. You know who had a comfortable upbringing, living in the upscale suburb of Parkland in a sprawling 5-bedroom, 3-bath house with a pool. His father, Roger, was a successful businessman who died in '04 when you know who was only 5.
Damn.
That also brings into another theory that how all but one, I believe, school or mass shooters have grown up without a father figure.
Yeah. And I brought this up to my cousin Ariana, who I've talked about on this for. I've talked
Since
about
it began.
What's
Since
that?
it began.
Oh, I think like episode or but the first time we ever did this, I talked about her. So I brought it up. I said that a lot of these guys are growing up without a father because she kind of dug herself in the grave when we were talking about guns and shit, and she said that there's a weed in the crack and I'm only pulling out the leaves. And she just said that. She didn't explain why. And I said, okay, well, if you're trying to say that I'm only going after the effects and not the source, then like we should be talking about how most of these kids grow up without a father. And she sort of wrote back sarcastically like, oh yeah, put a dad in every home. That's as far-fetched solution as me taking all the guns. No, it's not. If you grow up without a dad in the home, you are more likely to be
To go to
a
jail,
violent
to use
criminal.
drugs.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like some of her friends came in and sort of like said what I was going to say, so I just said whatever. I just sort of got done because that was just so stupid what she said. But yeah, that's. I don't think that's a theory or a conspiracy or anything. I just think that that's true. That this is why I don't think that gay couples should be able to adopt. All right, I know that's something you're not supposed to say, but I said it because I'm a bad person. But because you need a mom and a dad, right? If to grow up normally, you need a dad and a mom. This is something
I think it should be. Hear me out. I think gay couples should be allowed to adopt kids, but only like as a last resort kind of thing. Because I think it's
What do you
better
mean
to
a
grow
last
up with at
resort?
least some sort of dad or mom or whatever, than instead of with no dad and no mom
I'm
at
sorry,
all.
sorry, but there's a big problem with too much mommy or too much daddy. Sorry, I have to disagree with you. I don't think. Now,
So you think it'd be
no, no, no,
better
no,
to
no,
grow
no.
up
Do I
without
think?
mom and dad? So
I
you're disagreeing with me that it should be used as a last resort.
Here's the thing. I get into really, it gets into really rough territory. Do I think the government should outlaw it? No, because I don't like the government, but I think it should be heavily culturally and societally discouraged. Now you asked me.
So you would,
Wait. Now you asked me. Is it better to have a dad and no mom, or a mom and no dad? Is that what you're asking me?
no, I'm asking you because, like, in the case of an adoption, we're no couple but a gay or lesbian couple wants the child. Do you think it's better to grow up with at least two moms or two dads without any mom or any dad figure?
No, well,
Because that
the
way, at
kids,
least you're getting some.
the kids that usually get adopted are like young Catholic couples. It's typically the type of person to adopt. So, I mean, well, what's the alternative?
No parents. Well,
How do you can't just see? I'm not really getting what you're saying.
because would you rather have somebody grow up in an orphanage or grow up in a house with at least 2 parents?
Um, I I think maybe the 2 parents, but I still don't like it.
You don't like it, but
It's a
you don't
it's a
have to
it's a
like it.
it's a
It's
lesser
supposed to be a last resort. You're not supposed
yeah
to
yeah
like it.
it's a lesser of 2 weevils.
Shut the fuck up, or I'll smack you one day.
That's funny. Oh, I'm hilarious, damn.
Okay, so who brought this up?
I don't
Oh, I
remember.
think I brought that up. Yeah, I brought up.
Oh
I
yeah
brought
yeah
that
yeah
up.
yeah you did. I was wondering how we even got to the subject, but it was we were talking about the shooters and how most women grew up without a
Your
dad.
family.
Yeah. It's all coming together now.
Okay, so it's your turn to bring up the topic.
Is it? By the way.
Yeah, since I brought the thing up.
All right. I think I should say I did not prepare for this at all. Though we're doing, I don't know, how are we doing on time?
36 minutes in.
Which I guess is about, where we want it to be.
Like, I still have 2 topics, but I would prefer it.
What is this? This is some stupid news.
Do you want me to go it? Because remember how earlier I mentioned that 300 over hundreds of Russian soldiers are alleged to have been killed in U.S. airstrikes at the beginning of February?
Oh my. Yeah, the Russian-American War. Or the skirmishes that I have between them. I wanted to talk about that. I don't know why I forgot about that. Yeah, sure. Let's go with it.
Okay.
I think you're more
February
red on this, so
7th
you
to 8th. February 7th to 8th. Basically, since the American and Russian forces have been, like, side by side fighting the ISIS and the Syrian war, we're just gonna have some times one attacking the other. But some articles or news sources have been allegedly saying that when the Russians attacked, they allegedly did to inspect the U.S. defensive measures and how long it would take before they would strike back. Well, I'm not sure how long it took, but I'm sure at 5 a.m. on February 7th, here it is, around 250 fighters south of Deir ez-Zor attempted to cross from the west bank of the Euphrates to the east using a military pontoon bridge. They included members of the militias of 2 tribes, the Baqqara and the Abu Hamad, who are fighting for Assad's regime with Iranian backing, soldiers of the 4th Division, as well as Afghan and Iraqi fighters with the Fatemion, I don't know how you say this, and the Zainabiyon brigades, which are under Iranian command. Soldier with the 4th Division recounted that the units had spent a week gathering on the property of the military airport. Witnesses say that no Russian mercenaries took part in an attempted crossing. The Americans and Russians agreed last year to make their Euphrates a deconfliction line. As such, the Americans on the eastern banks viewed the advance as an attack and fired a series of warning shots towards the bridge. Nobody was injured then, and the attackers withdrew, but they didn't give up. Long after darkness, around twice as many men from the same groups crossed another makeshift bridge a few kilometers north, close to the Deir ez-Zor military airport. They drove without their lights on to prevent U.S. drones from spotting them. Undetected this time, they made it to the village of Marat on the eastern side. When they advanced further south at around 10 p.m. toward the Syrian Democratic Forces base in Qashm, the Americans, whose special forces were also stationed there, once again opened fire. And this time they weren't warning shots. The U.S. said in a statement given to CNN that after 20 to 30 artillery and tank rounds landed within 500 meters of the SDF headquarters, the coalition forces targeted the aggressors with a combination of air and artillery strikes. That was putting it mildly, because right around the same time late that night, another group of Syrian tribal militia members of the Shiite fighters came from the village of Tabia to the south and also attacked the SDF base, and the Americans struck back with their entire destructive arsenal. They deployed rocket-equipped drones, combat helicopters, heavy AC-130 aircraft nicknamed gunboats to fire on targets on the ground, rockets, and ground artillery. They struck in the night, followed by an attack the next morning on a group of the tribal militia in Tabia that had come only to retrieve the bodies, and on February 9th, they once again staggered a unit of the same fighters. Skipping down somewhat, the bad luck. So basically, militiamen that were part of military groups had been supposedly ordered by Russia or the Kremlin to attack U.S. forces to measure our defensive. How long would it take before we strike back? And from the article above, it didn't take long at all. With over 100, with Russian mercenaries who were among the soldiers, death toll to be in the hundreds, which is more Russians killed by Americans in the entire Cold War, which is kind of, even though it was a Cold War, it's still kind of shocking to think about when you think about it that way.
I mean, yeah, but it was also more Russians killed. I mean, the same amount of Russians that were killed in the Cold War were also killed in the French and Indian War. You know? I mean, that's just,
yes, but it wasn't
the idea that a lot of Russians were killed. Force. Yes. Okay, I get what you're saying. The thing that I'm worried about, I guess, with this is, do you? It
was a national news.
It wasn't. We didn't hear about this until like today, and this happened in what, February 7th?
February 7th to the 9th, basically.
Oh my god!
With both sides attacking
one
another.
That does worry me a lot. The fact that we haven't really even been hearing a lot about that. The other thing I got to worry about is, where does this lead to? Right? Like,
right.
Is there something going on? Or are we about to fight Russia? What do you think?
Russia recently just revealed new nuclear missiles that supposedly have the capability of striking anywhere in the world, even though that one I heard from an article by Steven Crowder that the rockets carrying the nuclear warheads kind of crashed and burned.
Yeah. I don't... Oh my gosh. The thing is, like, what incentive does Russia have to want to fuck with us?
To test our military capabilities and our willingness to use them.
So from this, I hope that they see that, yes, we are capable and willing of using our military forces. We have the largest military world history.
And not by just a small margin either.
No. So you don't think that this is gonna lead anywhere?
It could, but I don't see it happening. Because take what Russia did a couple of months ago. They tried to engage Britain in their own airspace, and as soon as they were intercepted by British jets, they backed off, which has been what they've been doing to both allied countries since the Cold War.
So you think that Russia is just like poking the bear?
Yes. It's nothing new that they're doing.
All right. Well, that makes me feel a little better. Because, I'm trying to...
Regardless whether or not we kick their ass, it's still something you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, you never want to go to war.
You don't want to mess with that.
And the thing is, I don't... Is there going to be any, like, allies? Like, is there anyone that's gonna... Oh my god, what the fuck did Michael just fucking send?
Well, Europe is being overtaken by refugees at this current moment, so I doubt they'd be able to back us up. Plus, let's think about it. While China would probably support Russia, I don't see them getting directly involved.
I know. But it doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of nations out there that are going to want to support the United States. Like, what are our big allies when it comes to foreign policy?
The UK, France is kind of iffy. Germany, hell no.
Yeah, Germany's not a fan of the United States. Oh my God. I don't like it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the people of Canada support us, but the government not so much.
We'd probably be better off fighting alone than fighting beside Canada.
Yeah, you probably have.
Seriously.
Here's that article that I was mentioning about. Putin threatens America with new missile, crashes during latest attempt. We thought the world had learned its lesson. Don't threaten the U.S. with nuclear-level destruction. The fire and fury comment and all. Complete obliteration by white fire doesn't intimidate some people. Don't worry, embarrassment works for some prideful people. Vladimir Putin was caught bragging about a new missile, only to have a different kind of explosive hit him in the facial region. A video was played during the speech showing off the weapon's alleged capabilities, reported by the Russian state media. Putin said other countries only listen to Russia when it creates new weapon systems, reported Sputnik and other Russia state organs. You will listen to us now, he added. Russia claims the missile can hit anywhere in the U.S., inflicting damage to an area the size of Texas. Also, it can't be stopped by missile defense shields. The Pentagon said Thursday the U.S. was not surprised by the new nuclear missile systems disclosed Thursday by Russian President Vladimir Putin, and said the American people should rest assured that we are fully prepared. A U.S. official says Russia's new nuclear-powered cruise missile is still being tested and has crashed in recent testing. Let this be a lesson, kids. Don't brag about your new toy if it's, for an example, made in China. Cheap, easily breakable. This should also teach Putin not to count his fluffy Easter chicks until they've hatched. Or crashed, as you could say.
Yeah. What the fuck was that noise?
A Korean missile going overhead.
I don't know. It was probably... if you're listening to this podcast, you probably heard it because it happened to me.
Logan is the one who's, recording this.
Streaming.
And we are discussing... Streaming, that's the word.
Yeah, this is all taking place on my computer. All the technology,
Which,
all the thousands
thank
of
God
dollars.
that his dad's full time now.
Oh yeah. This is entirely different conversation than what I'm willing to go into publicly. But when I say that's not become a but as in. Forget what I just said. I'm going to contradict myself. This isn't, but just let's put that in the past and let's continue with the new discussion.
If you can get one more topic and I can finish off on the penis thing if you don't want to. Or do you just want to keep with this discussion right now? You just don't like it with all this?
Whatever, we're fine. I think we can keep going about this. Well, because, yeah, we only have 10 more minutes, so...
12.
Shut the fuck up. It's basically 10. But, I don't know, just the idea... I'm still trying to think of, whether or not China's gonna want to get involved.
Directly.
Yeah. I don't know, I think
it's not a desirable situation.
I think it's not something that we want to happen, but if it, in the unlikelihood yet serious event that this does take place, I think we're good. I think, honestly, there's nothing too big to fear. I don't think the United States is going to be engaged in total war with Russia, where people are buying war bonds and growing victory gardens.
At least for a couple of days.
Okay, let me ask one thing. Do you think nuclear war will ever occur? Like full-on nuclear war.
I'd like to say no, but some fucking insane retard guy, if Kim Jong-un were capable of it, and he were in the position where he could do this without any sort of
serious backlash.
Yes, and anything coming back to hit him. I think he's definitely the personality that would do something like that. Man, I don't think so. I really don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it'll happen sooner or later. But I think I think, honestly, it won't happen in the next few decades, but in the next few centuries.
Yeah, if it is gonna happen, I honestly don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon.
I think we'll both be in the ground 6 feet under before it happens.
Maybe you will be. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Me and Luke, rest assured, we're gonna die someday. So you guys don't have to really worry about that.
You won't have to deal with our dumbasses forever.
Damn. It's just so crazy. Well, to think about, we were at war with for almost like 8 years, right? And it's so crazy that disconnect. It's not to the extent that we were like 2 years ago, but think about all the people that didn't even know about that. Like Husto, he didn't even know about that. And I think one of my dogs barking because I think
Logan's
my dad just pulled in the driveway, so I think we're fine. But it's just so crazy the disconnect, right? Because we didn't hear, and me and you are guys that are both actively engaged enough in this kind of stuff, where you think that me and you would be the first to know, but we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It took us like almost an entire month before we even heard anything about this. Some people didn't even know that we were at an actual war for over 8 years. I don't like that disconnect, man.
Some people don't even know about the Russian thing still. Most people don't know that because you haven't heard it on national news.
No, you're right. Most people probably haven't heard about that. Oh, my God. Unless they're listening to real news like Free Speech or Bust. The most trusted name in news. God, that's what scares me the most about this. It's the threat of war. I don't like the fact that the public is so unaware, and it's not even the public's fault. It's that information is being withheld from us. It's not like we're too stupid or we're too lazy to know about this stuff. It's that a lot of this information is being withheld from us. I don't like that at all.
Nope.
Let's finish off on a later note. Bring up your penis story.
Okay, the penis story? Alright.
We've been hinting at this for like an hour.
FBI seizes. This is what it's all coming. This is what it's all been for. FBI has seized over 3,000 penises during a raid at morgue employees' home. FBI agents made an astonished discovery this morning while executing a search warrant at the residence of a Houston mortician. 3,178 embalmed human penises. The FBI suspected 54-year-old Dave Murray, an employee of the Harris County Morgue, of being implicated in an organ trafficking network. Investigating several reports of missing organs and body parts, dozens of agents raided his residence this morning, hoping to find new evidence of his involvement in the crimes. What they found on site was a lot more disturbing than what they expected, as the FBI spokesman, Andy Ramirez, described the scene in an interview with WNTV-4. There were shelves everywhere filled with hundreds of glass jars, each of them containing a penis floating in formalin. According to Agent Ramirez, the accused rapidly confessed everything as soon as he was arrested. He explained in great detail how he had been cutting off dead men's genital organs and collecting them for more than 10 years. It took the FBI more than 7 hours to gather all the organs and other pieces of evidence that were found on the site. A total of 53 criminal charges have already been filed against Mr. Murray, and hundreds more could be filed over the next few days. An anonymous FBI source told, like that's very reliable, told WNTV-4 that the number of charges could reach over 3,000. Dave Murray will remain in custody for the moment as a psychiatric evaluation has been ordered to determine if he is fit to stand trial. If he is considered fit, he should appear in court in October for the beginning of the procedures.
Do you know what? This is just nuts. But a lot of like nurses at like hospitals and stuff get in trouble because So when you die, your penis actually gets like a lot bigger. So like
Yeah.
so like a lot of like nurses have gotten in trouble for. I don't. Thankfully, I don't know the specifics or details of these stories. But
They touched on
I think
they use them as dildos.
I don't
Is that
know.
what you're getting to?
I actually do not know the specifics, but I think basically just setting up this premise without actually going into it and explaining it is just enough information. Oh my! Please don't research this at all. But it's just the fascination
That's not
with
what I'm doing.
dead appendages. God, that is so nuts. That goes like this is like beyond grave robbing. What are you typing?
I am typing in tags
Tags.
for the video for the stream that we've been discussing.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you had even access to do that. I don't know.
Look at the description. You'll see sources.
Oh, really?
See, we are slowly growing in professionalism.
Oh wow.
You have the Free Speech or Buzz Twitter, then you have our own personal Twitter, and then we have the sources that I use.
I am the one who put in the music credits and the Twitters. But Luke
And I
actually
put
went
in
ahead
the
and put in
sources.
some sources and stuff. That's pretty revolutionary. Anyways, I guess on the topic of this, I think we're done. No, it's not a full hour, but I don't really think. But I
It's
think,
close enough.
yeah, I think we hit on enough things. I don't know. Would you like to take us out?
Well, thank you for watching us or hearing us, depending if you're listening to us on Google Play Music. It really means a lot that you listen to us dumbasses for 57 minutes, talking about everything from the you-know-who school shooter in Parkland to 30,000 penises being embalmed and confiscated by the FBI.
This is like the best description of Free Speech or Bust ever.
Logan, I think I gave a short but beautiful wrap up,
Yeah, it was
and
a
you
nice
can say
recap.
whatever you want to say.
Oh, there ain't really nothing much I want to say. I guess what you should do is you should go to the @Free Speech or Bust on Twitter for all the updates and stuff. And
And follow our own personal Twitters.
yeah, I swear a lot. So, anyways, that's it, I guess.